I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks. Hi, I'm very excited to have Mark Skogen, the CEO of Festival Foods, at the new Festival Foods today, the day before you guys open. So the timing is beautiful, and thanks for being on the show. Let's get right to it. We are in the former Century at Green Bay Road and Highway 20, and nice big 70,000 foot store, the 20th for the company, correct?
Yes, this is our 20th store.
So tell us a little bit about just the kind of the 1 minute company history.
Sure. My grandpa started our business back in 1946 in Onalaska, Wisconsin. He passed away when I was pretty young, 6, 7 years old. My parents took over the business. We had Skogen's IGA stores back then, so smaller, I call them mom and pop stores. And in 1990, we started to transition into this Festival Foods format. We opened a store in Onalaska, which was a 70,000 square foot size, and opened a store in Marshfield then about 95, and then Green Bay shortly thereafter. So once we got to Green Bay, then our expansion really started on the east side of the state here, and it has been a great format for us. I know that we wouldn't have grown to 20 stores if we would have stayed in that smaller Skogen's IGA format.
Yeah, and then another thing that I think is interesting is you guys are 70% family owned and 30% employee owned through an employee stock ownership plan. When did you put that in place and why?
Well, 3 or 4 years ago we became an ESOP, and we felt it was the right thing to do for associates. They'd have more skin in the game. They could see that as the company grew, the value of the company grew, they were going to have money set aside for them in shares of stock in our company. It's a form of a retirement plan. We still have a 401k plan, but it's also just a good way for them to measure the success of this company and benefit from the upside.
And has that been a good move?
Yes, it has. It's still in its early years here, and I think once some folks who've worked with us for a period of time start to see that account balance grow, it'll even get more word of mouth from them.
Yeah, it creates a little excitement. So 2 questions that are kind of 2 sides of the same coin. Why did you want to come to the Racine area, and why a 24-hour store? It would seem an expensive kind of store to have.
Sure. Well, I think the reason we ended up here in Racine is because of the success we had in Kenosha. And the Kenosha store happened because an independent retailer was going to step away from their store. Our wholesaler, SuperValue, said there's an opportunity here. Do you want to step in? We went into the older store, built new next door, and we've had a good run there in the year that we've been open. And so this store, kind of same in the same market area, we believe can be successful. It brings a little something different to the market. And we're open 24 hours because it's actually easier for us to stay open. We're going to stock overnight, so there's people in the store doing that. It takes us 1 cashier at the front end of the store, and there's a bunch of activity and work that they have to do up there at night, filling bags and cleaning the check lanes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, interesting. Before we talk about some of the features of this store, roughly what amount of investment did it take to get a store like this open?
Well, it can be $6 to $8 million to open a new store, depending on if we own the building. In this case, we do not own the building. To put the equipment inside, to get the inventory inside. So it's a hefty investment.
Yeah, that's for sure. And just out of curiosity, is it more expensive to build new or renovate a store like this?
We've done it both ways. This store didn't cost us more to renovate and move into than some stores that we've remodeled the box, and we could have darn near torn the thing down and started over. Yeah. But in this case, the addition, which is our wine and spirits and some space along the back of the store, wasn't all that expensive.
Okay. Now, one of the noteworthy visuals, I want you to talk about this, that people will see up near the checkout area, the front of the store, and other places, are boomerangs, large boomerangs on the wall. So explain that.
The boomerang experience that we should have in stores is that we, at Festival, every decision we make will be based on one question: will it bring the guest back? So what that is saying is making sure that we're making decisions that are good for the shopper first, and us second. Quite often businesses get caught in a situation where they're making choices that will financially be good for the business today, but it will kind of alienate shoppers over time. And so as an independent grocer, I think we have that advantage that we can make those sorts of decisions. When you're traded on the stock market, you need to take care of shopholders today. So
it's all about the next quarter.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are some examples of that philosophy in play? Well, I certainly have seen a lot of them, but
the one that I always use that I think people can understand and it makes the most sense is one day we needed to replace an old donut case with a new donut case. Our maintenance team decided, when they were going to do this and how they were going to do it. It was going to take 2 or 3 hours. Well, they decided that they'd remove the old case at 5 in the morning and move in the new case. Well, that's not a boomerang decision. That's when donut sales really start to take off. They should have been thinking to themselves, I'm coming in at 2 a.m. or we'll come in at 6 p.m. when that's not happening. So be good to the guest before we're taking care of ourselves in that case.
There's a really interesting thing right over our shoulders here, and that's the video screen that has a large number 2 on it, the take a number system. So why don't you explain that?
We've been using a number system in our deli and our meat department for some time now, and the idea is that if you get 3 to even 10 people around a case waiting to be served, that it's hard to figure out who's next, and often when you say who's next, people start looking at each other.
Right.
So if you've got a tab, we're just calling out the number and we're getting you in the right order so you can get served and back on your way.
And as was pointed out to me, number one, it's electronic, so you just touch it and your number comes out. But also you have this large number so you can wander around, do other shopping in the area, take a glance every once in a while and say, my number is almost up.
That's right. Keep an eye on where you're standing in line.
There are 2 other interesting features, at least, that I'm aware of at the meat counter. One is the free meat thermometers. What's that about?
We started doing that a few years back, just a little value-added proposition. I think we've got medium, well, and
4 different
rare.
stages of doneness.
Yeah, so we'll give you one of those if you're grabbing a steak or some pork or whatever the case may be, and just a way to keep our guests safe when they're cooking food at home. It's often tough to figure out when is the right time to pull that item out.
Yeah, so you buy a piece of meat, and if you want the thermometer, it comes with it. To the doneness of your liking, and then also the free knife sharpening. I thought, explain how that works.
We've been sharpening knives free for many years. We used to do it right around hunting season, and we'd do it for a week period of time, and everyone would mad rush in with knives, and we'd be sitting out on the floor sharpening. And we decided that a better way to do this would be do it all year long. So we've got a sheath that you can bring your knives in. You can drop them off and come back and get them after you shop. You can come back a different day, or we'll just get them sharpened up right with our sharpening system we have in the back. We have to sharpen our own knives anyway, so we thought it'd be a nice value-added thing to do for our shoppers.
Yeah, that's something I'd never heard of. Another thing is you have the tot spot, the place where you can drop off your children and supervised, but to go beyond that, you have these monitors placed throughout the store, so you can have your child in there, and you're in the produce, and little Johnny's doing this or that. So how long have you had a system like that in place with the monitors?
Ever since we started the Festival Foods format, we started doing the tot spot area, and it is a good way for them to be able to see, what their kids are doing, just feel a little bit better that everything's
security
okay.
For the
At one time, we tried to have a camera in there and a monitor next to it, so the kids could make faces in the screen, and their parents would see them making faces at the TV. But I don't think we do it that way anymore.
And speaking of monitors, you also have monitors playing ESPN directly below the tot spot monitors, so I think that's kind of fun to be able to walk through the store and watch little sports.
Sure.
So a lot of different things. Also, as was explained to me earlier today on a tour, talk about the vacuum tumbler and the marinades.
Again, value-added products, trying to flavor, whether it be our dad's chicken breast or a spoon roast. It's putting flavor into that piece of meat and kind of making it not just the plain old chicken breast that you might have at home that you want to throw barbecue sauce on. Quite a few varieties and options, and it rolls in that tumbler for a period of time and takes in that moisture and that flavor.
So it really penetrates the meat more than it would just sitting on the outside of a standard marinade. And you also have free Wi-Fi in the store and an area for eating next to your ready-to-eat items, 6 booths back there.
Right, this is a little different format in this store for our seating area. In some of the newer stores, we've got a lofted area above our deli. Here, it'll be on the floor behind the deli, but again, comfortable. we've got a lot of hot food and salad bar, or whether it's sandwiches or whatever you need, a good place to stop in and grab a bite to eat.
Mm-hmm. And you can grab your beverage in the same area and then do a self-checkout, and then you sit down and eat.
Right.
So this store has about how many employees?
The store will have about 250 associates to start with, and we are hoping that we can grow that. Some of our more experienced stores that have been around a few years might have 350 associates.
Wow. Now, how do you, with this investment and the 24 hours and the technologies that you bring in, are you going to be able to compete on price? Because clearly you're differentiating yourself in certain ways from some of the other groceries we have here.
Sure. I think the way that shoppers most effectively shop us for price is through our advertised items. We run a couple of pages to 4 pages in the Thursday edition of the local market advertisement, where all the other grocers are at, and you'll find great savings on that. We'll have pink tags throughout the store that show values on items that aren't advertised. But I think that we compete in those ways, but yet we have a fresh appearance and approach in our business that maybe some other grocers don't. And so there are items that won't be advertised as much that are fresher quality items made in store.
Mm-hmm. I know you wanted to mention community involvement too. So why don't you talk about that?
When my grandpa started our business back in '46, he really was always interested in helping the underdog, I believe. I didn't know him all that well, but I hear the stories about him ripping up charge slips for those back in the day. They'd just handwrite charges, and he'd rip up those charge slips and throw them away once in a while when somebody was down on their luck. And that's carried on to today. We enjoy sponsoring fireworks shows in our communities. We have a turkey trot that benefits the Boys and Girls Clubs and YMCAs in our communities. The United Way, 90% of our teammates give to the United Way when that campaign happens every year. And we believe that it's more fun to make a difference in communities in those sorts of ways than it is to say, we stock a lot of groceries and scan a lot of groceries. So we can make an impact above and beyond providing food for our guests.
Before we leave, I want to back up and just mention one other feature that caught my eye immediately. I saw bananas at the cash registers. I didn't see candy. So explain that.
That was an idea my dad had many years ago. A lot of grocery stores or retailers in general have large racks that it's like a cattle chute, he calls it, where you get chute in there and then you're stuck between a bunch of candy and a bunch of other enticing sweets and things. And some years ago we really took them away and have a very small rack there now, try and make it skewed towards things that are not candy or impulsive type food items, but more now we have things like batteries or items like that, but definitely and some with fruit, like you said, so healthy options up in front.
But as I understand it, the idea is you don't have, as a parent, you don't have your kids pestering you, so you have a more streamlined, nicer experience going through the...
Kids aren't pestering you, and you don't feel as confined and crowded by things that are hanging around you. You feel like it's a wide open space. You can see where you're going and what's happening.
Yeah. Well, Mark Skogen, thanks a lot for being on the show, and welcome to the Racine area.
Thanks, Mick.